Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Let's start with your journey, man, from Sydney to Auckland in 2019. I believe that's when you first moved over there, right? What sparked the move? For people that don't know.
Um, yes, I moved over at the start of 2019 in January. It was the move was prompted by my most recent loss. So I was coming off I lost what was that my second professional MMA loss. So I was 3-2 at the time. I just lost in September of 2018. Kind of like floating around and like wasn't too sure what I was gonna do next. Like if I wanted to keep training and fighting, or if I was like, because I think I had finished uni like 2 years before, or if I was gonna just go into like the workforce. And I was 23 at the time, and I thought, fuck it, I still got heaps of time. So I just decided to choose a new gym and move somewhere that was like a little bit more, just had more of like a team environment and people that were on the mats like daily, not just guys who you have to wrangle up once or twice a week to get some sparring in or stuff like that. It was definitely prompted by a loss and just a need for change in my training.
And after that, you had a string of wins, and then the pandemic hit. I remember when the pandemic hit, and I was talking with Dan Hooker a lot because he was probably one of the most active guys during that time. But what was your situation during that time? Were you there with them, like camping out in the gym and all of that?
Yeah, I was because I've been at the gym for about a year, and then we had that first lockdown that started in what, like April or something, the end of April, and we didn't camp in the gym that time. That was like we didn't know what was happening, so like the bubbles and stuff. But I was living in an apartment across the road from the gym at the time with another guy who was training at the gym, but also living in the gym was Kevin Jusay. So Kevin had just gotten to Auckland maybe like 1 or 2 months before that, and then we went into lockdown, and so it was basically just us three for like 2 months of it, or for however long that lockdown went. We were just going to the gym and training with Kevin every day, doing like Danaher DVDs and like lifting weights, and basically that was it. So I was like, we were still training every day, twice a day during that lockdown. So there was no complaints from me.
Then when they were taking the pictures and it was like paparazzi out. What was that like?
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah, that was when Dan was getting ready to fight the mini Gaslam. What's his name? Nazrat. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a strange one because we had done a lockdown in the gym prior to that for 2 weeks when Izzy was getting ready to fight Costa for that fight camp. So I was in there for that. There was like 10 of us in there. We're like, sweet, we'll do it again. We'll have like a bubble. We'll be in there for 2 weeks. We'll whatever. We'll just train. And I think Dan was the only one with a fight coming up. I think we had a few local guys with fights coming up, but we weren't too sure of like how far away, like what was going to happen, because how long the lockdown will be and stuff like that, and if they were going to fight. But like basically everyone saw how cool the first like camp out in the gym was for the Costa camp, and everyone's like, I want in on that. And so then we all went into CKB, and by the end of the 48 hours they gave you or whatever to be where you needed to be for the lockdown, we had like 30 people in the gym. It was like, fuck, it was definitely illegal. Definitely wasn't protocol. And we just had guys like just going back and forth to their families and just come back at night for training and then sleep in the gym and then go off in the day and see their families again. I'm like, this is not working. Like this isn't gonna last long. So then I think it lasted like 4 days because we're playing like drum and bass and dubstep at like 6 a.m. The neighbors called the cops. Cops were like, what the fuck? There's like 30 dudes in here camping out, just like eating cans of tuna and just drying their underwear out the window. and then they're like, this, you can't do this. This is illegal. So then we all had to split. And then during that split, that's when Dan was like, oh, we'll just sneak into my gym and we'll go and like we'll do it real small. We won't have like 30 people. We'll have like 5 or 6 people. And so then like I was one of those people. So I'd like basically just ride my bike all the way to his gym and back. But then this paparazzi guy who was following us from the original gym then started following us to Dan's gym. I don't know. He was like I remember when we had to leave the gym, he was outside at 2 a.m. trying to take photos of us as we were like packing up and leaving the gym. Yeah, he was relentless with that. It was like a rat on cheese. And then like he he must have followed us to Dan's gym. He sat like 100 meters down the road in like a driveway, had like this big telescopic lens, and was like taking all these mad photos of like Eugene walking in and out of the gym and some of us like that. Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, man, and a crazy experience for you, just being there, part of the camps and all of that. But man, throughout this time, since moving to CKB, man, you fought in Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, done really well for yourself. King of the Ring, man, that's something that, you've been involved in for a couple of years. I think you fought in four of them, won two of them. What kind of mental barriers did you break going through all of those fights?
Mm, yeah, yeah, you definitely got to prepare yourself a lot more than you do just for like a one-off fight. But I think that just comes through like the training that you do for the 8 weeks, 9 weeks leading up to that. Like you basically triple the amount of volume that you're doing throughout a training camp because you're prepared for 3 fights, and that's like I guess you like slowly build yourself up mentally to get ready for those, and then by the end of the 8 weeks, you're like, oh, I've done 3 times the amount of training I need to do for a normal fight. Like this is a piece of cake, and then you just take it as it comes. Like on the night with each fight, by the end of the night, and you're getting ready for the final, you don't even need a warm up. You got so much adrenaline in your body, you're just sweating nonstop, just sitting there. So you're just ready to go.
Yeah, man, it must have been pretty insane, like, you know, even like carrying injuries to the next fight, which is going to be, right around like an hour away or whatever time it is, and then beating that guy and then going to the finals and kind of, like what kind of relief is it like winning the title after going through that in one night?
Oh man, I remember the first title that I won. That was like huge relief. I was like, oh sweet, like I'm on the board. I've got one of these. This is basically as good as it gets in Australasia and New Zealand. Like the UFC look very closely at guys who win these titles. And then the second time I won it, I was like so sore going in there. I don't know. I just didn't have as much adrenaline going into that last fight as I did going into the last fight of the first time that I did it. So like I just felt every kick, every punch. I was just feeling it in my shins and my legs and stuff. And it was more a relief of this is over. I get to sit down now. I get to go home and just rest for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever. That was more of the relief rather than the relief of like winning and getting on the board and getting one of the titles.
And man, all of that, man, like you said, the UFC is watching closely. It leads up to this opportunity on the Contender Series against Torrez Finney. What are your thoughts on Finney and his fighting style?
Um, he's he offers um, like a very difficult style. He's just based on his proportions and his physique. Like he's 5'8" with 193 centimeter reach. That's insane. That's like otherworldly. So it's not like you're fighting a short guy. I mean, he is short, but he's has the reach of a long man. So like you I can't just think he's gonna burrow his way in and try and wrestle me. Like the guy's got a few KOs on his record. His last knockout was insane. So it's a very yeah, it's quite a difficult matchup because he's so explosive that you don't know if he's exploding into a takedown or if he's exploding into a punch that's gonna spin your jaw. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Have you not fought anybody like this before, like physically, like someone that is a little bit shorter, but they do have a long reach for their height?
I have I fought a couple guys who were probably a little bit taller than him, maybe a few inches taller than him. I'm not too sure what their reach was. Yeah, there wasn't that much details on them, but I do remember fighting one guy who I lost to. That was my second loss in September, 2018. He's I can't remember his last name. His first name is Izzy. He fights with he trains with Whitaker. I'm pretty sure he had quite long arms as well for a guy of his height.
For sure. And UFC Perth is actually a couple days before your fight, so there's a lot of guys at
Mm.
CKB, in camp? What's the vibe like right now? What are the sessions looking like?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's great when we're all in camp. We're on the same schedule. We're just like throwing each other against the wall as hard as we can, and then we'll just come bouncing right back and try and throw them against the wall as hard as you can. Because it's like you want to push them really hard, and you push them hard, and they're going to push back because they're getting ready as well. So the training sessions just go like this. Like today, we had our VO2 wrestling. We call it the rape wrestle, groups of three. I was in a group with a young guy Maynard and Izzy, and like me and Maynard were like, we just put it on Izzy because we're like, fuck, he's getting ready for DDP. So the session started like this. Then Izzy was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to bring it up to here. And then we're like, nah, we're going to bring it up to here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And then like an hour and a half later, we're just absolutely smoked. Like we're getting cramps in our legs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good. It's what we need.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, that's phenomenal to hear, man. Yeah, man. It doesn't even matter if you're fighting for a world title or if you're just fighting to, on the regional scene. You guys treat it the same, which I think a lot of camps don't really do that. To be honest.
No, I don't. I don't think many do. Like they don't give the team isn't on like an even playing field. They'll treat the UFC fighters or the PFL fighters or whatever they are like a little bit better or differently than the regional fighters. Like they won't give the regional fighters as much attention and stuff like that. Whereas like at our gym, we've got Shuriken on this weekend, and we have 5 fighters on, and all those fighters who are on the weekend, they get pads from Eugene, they get pads from Coach Mike, they get one-on-one wrestling sessions with Andre, just the same that like guys like Izzy and Dan and Kai get like that. So it's yeah, the team is definitely, everyone's on an equal playing field. And I think that just comes from the coaches being so hardworking and like willing to give up their time.
Yeah, man. That's one thing that stands out. And who are you working closely with to get ready for Finney? Is there anybody in particular?
I've been working with Brogan Anderson. He's taken on a little bit of a role at the gym now, like with with helping in terms of like grappling with wall work and jiu-jitsu and stuff. So I've been going through a lot of specific scenarios on the wall with him. He's very good. He spent a lot of time at Jackson Winklejohn. He's been all over the world training and stuff, and he's probably like one of the best grapplers in New Zealand. So he offers like a really fresh perspective and effective insight into how to deal with like certain positions I'm going to be put in. So he's been helping a lot with that side of the training. And then Mike Angove he's been game planning the striking for me. So we've got something nice cooking up. He's annoyingly smart when it comes to the striking. Yeah, he knows so much about it that you just want one answer, but he's going to give you about 15.
Is there something to like being part of like UFC fight weeks? How many have you gone through with your teammates? Have you been through a few?
Fight weeks. I think I've done one. I did one
Mhm.
UFC Melbourne actually when Izzy won the title against Rob. I done that one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Do you think there's something to that though, like going through that as a corner man and then eventually putting yourself as the fighter?
yep, yep for sure. Like it's going through all that is just kind of you yeah. There's no real unknowns. You kind of get a feel for how everything works. Like obviously it's not you doing it, but you kind of know okay, like this is if you need anything, you call this person, blah, blah, blah. This is how the timing works and like how they move everything around and all that stuff. But yeah, it's like, gives you like some practice reps, I guess.
For sure. A narrative that's going to be talked about heading into your upcoming fight is the time away from competition, right? But it seems like you've been training and you've been part of camps the whole time. So it's like you never really lose a step. Besides, I believe you had an injury, like an orbital thing happen. But outside of that, was it pretty smooth sailing?
Yeah, everything's been smooth. Like I've been helping all the boys out with their camps and I never really took much time away from the gym. Even with the orbital injury, I was on the mats, watching them train every day. after a few weeks, I could get back to some light drilling. So I was like drilling whatever they were doing in class, and then I'd spend extra time after class doing some more drilling as well. But I mean, yeah, it's doesn't feel like time away because it's always felt like I've still been getting some kind of reps in or some kind of light training in.
What are you expecting out of yourself in this fight coming up, man? You're going to be in Vegas. You're going to be at the Apex. You're going to be in front of Dana White and the matchmakers. What do you expect?
Ooh, I'm expecting this the way we've been training for this one. We've moved into a new model of fight camp. Like we've updated the fight camp protocols for CKB. So I'm definitely expecting a much fitter and a much stronger version of myself. That's for sure. But in terms of like my sharpness, my skill, all that stuff, it's I've leveled up for sure since my last fight easily.
One last thing, the second wave of fighters coming out of CKB, you're a part of it, Navajo and Aaron, a couple others. What can you say about all the fighters that we don't know about from the gym? That train with you guys, that bleed with you guys, that sweat with you guys, all of that.
Hmm. They're they're just like hungry dogs. Like Eugene is just kind of like, and the other coaches bred this culture at the gym where the young need to eat the old, but the old have to keep the young away and stop them from eating them. And it's just like, obviously it's like very healthy competition. There's no bad blood in it, but there's a few young guys coming up, and like we've got the Mayoki brothers at our gym now. They're from Queensland. They're like 19 and 20, and they're both professionals. We've got a lot of girls coming through as well. We have a good team of like young girls who are probably early 20s. Yeah, I think some of them are early 20s, and they're ready to go pro. So I think like these like really really young guys that we have that are helping us out, they're just in a few years like people will know about them on the scene for sure.
Man, I can't wait, man. We've seen, the first wave, I guess we could call it, Izzy and Dan and Kai and them. But now the second wave is coming, the third, the fourth, it's just going to continue. It's going to be incredible. August 20th, anyways, August 20th, man, Contender Series Vegas. Cam, you get your opportunity. I'm happy for you. Thank you so much for the time. All the best in the fight.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you very much.